Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, originally this was going to be a different topic, but then I realized, this is probably more topical, like in the news, in a sense. Well, I mean, it is in the news, even in the corporate mainstream news. So anyways, let's just get right into the news. First, biggest news story for, I guess, Nico House. Tulsi Gabbard qualifies for the 4th presidential debate. Representative Tulsi Gabbard has become the 12th Democratic presidential candidate to qualify for the party's October primary debate on Tuesday after a new poll showed her with 2% in New Hampshire. You see, the thing about Tulsi is she had a bit of a iffy, we don't entirely know what to do situation. Because, as I mentioned before, one of the polls had two numbers. One had her at 1%, one had her at 2%. And a source in the media said, well, we heard, the DNC told us that this poll doesn't count, but the DNC never released a statement saying that the poll didn't count. So people were like, wait, is she in the debate or not? At Democrats, we need answers. But then she got another poll that put her at 2%, so we could just quell that and just be like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter now at this point, it's fine. They couldn't lessic her out this time around. They actually had to put her in the debate this time. Speaking of the debate, there's one interesting thing that happened. The October Democratic debate is going to take place in one night. The CNN New York Times Democratic presidential debate in October will occur on one night. To address several inquiries we have received and are writing to let you know that, pending a final decision after certification deadline, it is the intention of the DNC and our media partners to hold the October debate over one night on Tuesday, October 15th, the DNC wrote in an email Friday morning. It is both good and bad in a sense. Let me explain. You see, Tulsi makes 12 candidates, so there will be 12 candidates on the debate stage. Joe Biden, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg, Julian Castro, Tulsi Gabbard, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Robert Francis O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders, Tom Steyer, Elizabeth Warren, and Andrew Yang. Now, I think it's good in a sense that this time around they won't be able to separate Bernie and Tulsi. They will not be able to separate the two into having the progressive voices being on different nights. And it gives Tulsi an ample amount of time to differentiate herself from Warren. Like, because everybody knows that Warren is, just kind of like trying to be the Bernie, but not with all the punch. Like, she's trying to be the Coke Zero of Bernie, like not even the Coke Zero, like a Diet Coke, because Diet Coke doesn't have the flavor. Tulsi's trying to be like, I don't know, something like a, you know what I mean. I use all these soda metaphors for some reason, like a Coke but different flavor. Hawaiian Coke, I guess, like pineapple Coke. Basically, she's trying to show that she wants to show that she is the most like Bernie in this next debate. And it's pretty clear, and I think it's kind of obvious that her next target, because each night she seems to like bitch slap one person on the stage. The first time she tested the waters and aimed for a little guy, Tim Ryan. The second night she went for one of the big boys, Kamala Harris. But this time around, she might be going after the big boy. Like, many people are saying it's either going to be Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren. One of the two, because they've been seen as, like, the two highest polling candidates. So, she's going to try and hit one of them. Many people might be, like me, are saying, Tulsi, considering we might want you to kind of get out of the race sometime soon. Maybe you should try and go after Biden. But I guess going after Warren would be also a good idea. Because, like, if she goes after Warren, I want her to call out the simple fact, like, out of all the people on this stage, you claim to be the most like Bernie Sanders, yet in 2016, I was the one who left my chairmanship at the DNC to support the Bernie Sanders campaign, whereas you were being vetted for the Hillary Clinton vice presidential nomination. Is that why you didn't endorse your close ally, Bernie Sanders? You see, that could easily be Tulsi's moment. Though this could potentially be the last debate we ever see her in, either because she drops out sometime soon, or they just decide, nope, not letting her in again. Because the next threshold for the debates will be 3%, and I forget the donor threshold, but she'll easily make the donor threshold, but the polling threshold might be difficult, at least until more people formally leave the race. Because here's the thing, we've only technically had, how many candidates? Like, let's see, we had Ojeda, Gravel, Swalwell, de Blasio, Gillibrand, Moulton, Inslee, Hickenlooper. I think that's it. I think those are all the major Democrats that dropped out. So, like, 7 out of, like, a 25... I mean, yeah, like, around 25 or so people who entered the race that are considered major. Those are the only ones that actually left the race. So all that talk about the last debate where it's like, the field has narrowed, the top 10 are here. It's like, no, it's not. The field has not narrowed at all. You're making up a narrative. In my view, all these candidates should be on the debate stage, and you'll be saying, wait, even Tom Steyer? Yeah, sure, why not? Give everybody a formal chance to, or give each candidate their own town hall. Like, give each candidate their actual own town hall, and not like lumping 3 candidates into one town hall. No, everybody should get one. If they lengthen the time of the debate, then it could also be good. But again, I don't think they're going to be lengthening the time. They're just going to be adding more people on the stage. Many people have been suggesting, just split the debate up so it's 6 candidates a night. Let me think. How could that work? I don't know exactly how it would work, because they would have to divide it in an even way of polling. But, I guess it could hypothetically work. Next story. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez unveils a legislative plan for a just society. On Capitol Hill, freshman Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez released a sweeping policy pack Wednesday aiming to tackle poverty and inequality. The plan, titled A Just Society, would offer social services to formerly incarcerated people and undocumented immigrants, cap national rent increases, push government contractors to improve benefits, and update the way the government tracks poverty by taking into account geographic location and healthcare and childcare access. This is Representative... Okay, so pretty much it's kind of like a new... Like a new Great Society, but focusing on undocumented immigrants and formerly incarcerated people. And it's nice to see this thing be brought to the table. It's going to be like a 6-bill plan, to which, I mean, it's weird. Like, not really weird, but it's more interesting in a sense. I don't really... Like, AOC seems to be just trying to push a lot of different bills. I think she's kind of learned a bit about the Green New Deal. Let me explain what I mean by that. Like, the Green New Deal, it tackled... Even though it was supposed to tackle, just the environment and jobs, she tackled, like, pretty much everything. So, I guess she kind of learned that she needs to divide different things in different bills. Like, you can't have one bill that just does everything. You have to have a bill for this, or a bill for that, or a bill for this. So, yeah. Ultimately, I think this is going to be good if any of them get past, the House, which they won't. Okay, so here's a minor story. Not even a minor story. It's big, but, nobody cares. They should, but they don't. Judge rules American citizen can't challenge his placement on the U.S. kill list. A U.S. judge has sided with the Trump administration and thrown out a lawsuit filed by an American journalist who believes he was placed on the U.S. kill list. The journalist, Bilal Abdul Karim, filed the lawsuit after claiming he was nearly killed in 5 U.S. drone and missile strikes in Syria. The judge allowed the Trump administration to invoke its state secrets privilege to block the release of information about his kill list. Abdul Karim's attorney, Tara Plochaki, said, "For the first time ever, a United States federal court ruled that the government may kill one of its citizens without providing him information necessary to prove that he's being wrongly targeted and does not deserve to die." Yeah, this stinks, obviously, first of all. I guess that's one way to put it. It stinks. So, this is something that the U.S. has done before. It has killed its own citizens with its drone strikes. Abdul al-Araki, he was killed by a U.S. drone strike. He was a 16-year-old American citizen. And Hillary Clinton said in, a private email, Julian Assange, who's not an American citizen, but a journalist, they said, "Oh, can't we just drone strike him?" But there was a lot of other things that were going on. But, basically, this is kind of just, we've given up pretty much our freedoms, in a sense. This guy is, I don't know what this journalist in particular has done, but, he seems, I guess, important enough. I don't see why the U.S. is particularly attacking him. If they're attacking him, he must be doing something right. And again, it's also kind of a screw you to the First Amendment, in a sense. If this journalist is publishing information that the U.S. doesn't want him to publish, they would have tried to kill him anyways. The U.S. we all know how the U.S. is at this point. They're not that freedom. The land of the free isn't really that free, to be honest. Speaking of the land of the free, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu given first chance to form a government. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been given the first chance to try and form a new government after the preliminary attempts to negotiate a unity coalition between Netanyahu and his main rival Benny Gantz failed. Elections held last week failed to produce a clear path to government for either man, leading to efforts by Israel's President Reuven Rivlin to try and get them to work together. But after a second meeting with the two leaders on Wednesday ended with no breakthrough, Rivlin acted quickly to get the formal process of a coalition underway. The decision was to give the mandate to Netanyahu was based on the question of who had a better chance of forming a government. Right now, Benjamin Netanyahu's chances to form a government are higher, which is ironic because there's also a newer thing I saw that showed that Netanyahu is probably not going to form a government. Ironically, I think he should have went to Benny Gantz first, because Benny Gantz, he won more seats. So, I think at the very least he should be given the first chance to try and make a new government. Yeah, so inevitably, I don't really know the situation in Israel. Maybe Gantz will win, maybe Gantz won't. Gantz was given the endorsement by the leader of the Arabic, party, but the Arabic party itself kind of was yeah, the leader said he wants Gantz, but we're not entirely too keen on him. Inevitably, yeah, I don't think Gantz is going to be the candidate for the Israeli Palestines. Israeli and Palestine are not going to get, their situation is not going to get better it will get better, probably, because Gantz seems to at least somewhat be more favorable to Palestinians. like, he stated that he wants to make a Palestinian entity, not a Palestinian country. I'm not going to call them a state because that would be too much freedom. No, you can't have that. But it seems like he would at the very least stop the massacres. You know, that's one thing. But anyways, now on to the smaller candidate of the day, because I forgot it last episode. This is a candidate that has run for president before and is probably going to do so again. Gloria La Riva, running for the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Her vice presidential candidate is Leonard Peltier. Gloria La Riva is a well-known communist and has run for president for like a couple times. She ran in 1992 under the Workers' World Party nomination, ran in 2008 for the Party of Socialism and Liberation, and ran in 2016 with the Party of Socialism and Liberation. Like, she's run for president before. She's also run for, like, state offices under the Peace and Freedom Party banner because she lives in California, and that's the party closest to her ideology in California. But when she's running nationwide, she's running with the Party for Socialism and Liberation because I guess that's the party she agrees with more. Like, the Party of Socialism and Liberation, I think I've talked about them before, but if you don't know, they're a communist party that was kind of critical on Bernie Sanders. Like, in 2016, there were three kinds, like, socialist parties were kind of happy and sad about a Bernie Sanders candidacy. Some were more happy than others. Let me give you they had three reactions. The first reaction was ecstatic for the Bernie Sanders candidacy and like, we want to do this candidacy. This guy is the guy. He's the one who's going to make the world great. The prime example of this is Socialist Alternative, which is a political party that has run Kshama Sawant. That party was ecstatic about the Bernie Sanders candidacy, and they still are, and really want to see him win, and have endorsed his candidacy outright. The second group were the ones who were happy about the Bernie Sanders candidacy because more people were being introduced to socialism, but they weren't really going to give him, like, they weren't going to say, like, oh, this guy is definitely going to be, like, this guy is 100% going to be, like, my kind of guy. This is going to be, we're going to endorse his candidacy. No. The parties like this are like the Peace and Freedom Party and the Green Party. They were like, Bernie, you're cool. Thank you for introducing people to socialism. Now it's our time to take over because you were screwed out of the Democratic primary. Like you were obviously going to. And then the third group were the ones who were heavily critical of Bernie Sanders because he identified as a democratic socialist. And they were like, that's not democratic socialism, Bernie. No. Those are the ones like the Workers' World Party, the Party of Socialism Liberation, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's inevitably like that. That's the situation. That's who you're dealing with. La Riva has in her Twitter bio like a supporter of Venezuela, Cuba, and the North Korea. And I mean, you could say Venezuela and Cuba, but saying North Korea is definitely going to get you on some government watch list. Let's just say if Gloria La Riva were transported back in time, I definitely would not want her to be sent back during the time of Joe McCarthy. So anyways, the main topic of this video is obviously going to be it's hotly debated. Everybody's talking about it in the mainstream and the independent media, everywhere. The possible impeachment of Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to go over some major things. Like, the things I'm really going to go over are what he's possibly being impeached for. What has the U.S.'s history with impeachment been? Should we impeach at all? it's very interesting because we're seeing a lot of different reactions from a lot of different people. The biggest thing is obviously, like, a lot of people, even Nancy Pelosi, were kind of a little bit hesitant on impeachment, but now Nancy Pelosi is actually going forward on an impeachment inquiry. Now a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, hooray, yes, he's finally going to get impeached. First of all, what does impeachment mean? Well, here is the textbook definition of impeachment. Impeachment, the process by which a legislative body levels charges against a government official. So, pretty much, impeachment is where, at least in the US, the House of Representatives brings up a high crime and misdemeanor that the US president has committed. And doing so, they go forward and say, like, they vote on, is this something that we should trial him for? And if enough of them vote yes, then it goes to the Senate. The Senate does an investigation. The Senate then, they look forward and see if it's a worthy thing, and then they vote on if they should remove him from office. Okay, so that's what happens. It's happened 3 times in the United States' history. Once with Andrew Johnson, once with Richard Nixon, and the most infamous example, the one with Bill Clinton. So yeah, those are the major times that impeachment has happened. But first, what is this whole thing being about? Well, a lot of people have been trying to impeach Donald Trump for different reasons. We need to impeach him because he colluded with the Russian government. We need to impeach him because of the emoluments clause. We need to impeach him because he's committing a genocide in Yemen. We have to impeach him because he's a bad president, and so on and so forth. The first formal question of an impeachment inquiry was brought up by Representative Steve Cohen. He was like, hey, hold on, bro. You teamed up with racists. That's no good. And decided that he was going to file the articles of impeachment, I guess. So that was his thing about trying to impeach him. But the thing that is the forefront of what he is being possibly impeached of now is a controversy that has been going on for a little bit. So let me explain. Donald Trump was calling the Ukrainian president and told the Ukrainian president, hey, why don't you do a little bit of investigating on Joe Biden? Because I heard Joe Biden's been doing some shady stuff in Ukraine. Dude, hook me up with some of that info. Then a guy who was doxxed by the New York Times, I'll tell you a little bit of the funny parts of that. So, a guy, he decided that he was going to, go through the whistleblower proceedings because he felt that the information that Trump said was so controversial and so bad and so worrisome to the American democracy that he had to let the people know. So then he went through the, protection whistleblower stuff, and then people were praising him for, you're such a hero, bro. Turns out he was a CIA agent, and how do we know this? Because the New York Times doxed him. Now, that'd be well and good, but Trump previously, before the New York Times doxed him, was saying, this guy is a traitor, he's a spy, we should execute him. And now the New York Times was like, here's his name and address, Donald. Well, they didn't publish his address, I'm assuming, but they said who he is. And it's okay, great, do that then. I'm just gonna be over here and actually being good at protecting whistleblowers. They're really bad at this. New York Times is bad at journalism. So anyways, first of all, here's the thing about it. Many people have been going all up in arms about this, like, oh my goodness, Donald Trump is going to another foreign power. See, they say another foreign power because, Russiagate's still a thing. Oh, Trump is going to another foreign power for trying to get information to ruin our helpful democracy. He's trying to dig up dirt and nasty old conspiracy theories on Joe Biden. Yeah, none of the stuff he was trying to dig up were conspiracy theories. They were legitimate corruption by Joe Biden because he's a massive, corrupt politician. And this isn't like, oh, dude, you're just exaggerating. Trump is conspiratorial. He's just digging him out of a molehill. How could Joe Biden be how can he be bad? Kyle Kulinski explained it better than I did, but to sum it up, pretty much Joe was using his notoriety and political power to help Hunter Biden and his business. Seems pretty corrupt to me. And the thing is, people are going all up in arms about like, oh, Donald Trump got this information in a bad way. Don't look at what the actual information says. It's bad, so we can't look at it. But when the Hillary campaign did literally the same thing, went to the Ukrainian government to get information on Donald Trump, they were praising they were focusing purely on the information and not the hacky political way that she got it. I mean, it seems like a huge double standard to me, and it should be because it is a double standard. They just want to get the man that they don't like out of office. And they're not even trying to do it for actual political reasons. They're not doing it because they're actually concerned about the migrant children. They're doing it because they don't like his naughty words. Okay, so that's pretty much why he's being impeached. Now let's take a little bit of time to discuss, the history of impeachment in the United States. The first example is obviously Andrew Johnson. Here's what happened with Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson wasn't entirely that popular. You see, he was doing pretty much everything in his power to halt or ruin Reconstruction because he didn't necessarily agree with his president and Abraham Lincoln a lot. He didn't agree with him. So he was doing a lot of things that were just bad, and he was firing pretty much all the cabinet members for no apparent reason. And he was the radical Republicans that were like him. They liked him. They didn't really like him. They tried to like him, but inevitably it didn't work out. So the inevitable catalyst that pushed them to officially move forward with impeachment was that he dismissed Edwin Stanton from his position as Secretary of War. But here's the thing. He didn't actually do anything to warrant being dismissed, but he was just dismissed. They were just like, nope. Not happening. And just dismissed the dude. And even though the Senate was like, dude, this doesn't count. You just remove this man from office for no reason. Why would you do this? He just was like, nah, screw you guys. I'm going to appoint someone else to be his replacement. And they were like, wait, we didn't even say you had the okay to do this. But he just went ahead anyways. Now, of course, it's kind of commonplace now for presidents to just move on with their cabinet. Nobody really cares at this point. But the thing is, when they did this, they never just went ahead with impeachment because they felt that he was just stepping over the line. When impeachment came around, here's how it happened. They charged him for the House moved forward with impeachment. Then, when it came to the Senate, he survived by just simply one vote. Just one. Nothing more. And it's interesting. Like, you never really considered that. He actually managed to just slip by. Even though this thing kind of, I don't know if it was 100% illegal, but it seems kind of dickish, I guess. So then anyways, we didn't really hear much of impeachment after that, because after that, impeachment failing, despite the fact that many people thought it was justified, impeachment was kind of seen as a scary tactic. Like, nobody would actually impeach a president. That was, however, until Richard Nixon came along. Richard Nixon has made a lot of speeches, and we all know the infamous Watergate. Like, all the impeachments have some similarity to what's going on with Donald Trump now, but this one has a lot of interesting aspects. Like, people were like, oh, you're just being, Democrats, you're just being facetious, you're not actually being serious, I'm talking about actual issues, you're just trying to use this just to throw Richard Nixon under the bus. He's a good man, even if you disagree with him, he's a good man. Then Watergate came along, and Democrats were in full force. They were not holding back. They were like, you wiretapped the DNC. Dude, we're gonna impeach you for this. Wait, hold on. You were wiretapping more political rivals? Dude, we gotta impeach this guy. Get him out of office now. And the thing is, the American people, they didn't really care. They were just like, nah, we're not gonna have an impeachment of Nixon. Why would you impeach Nixon? Nixon's a good president. He hasn't done anything wrong. Then the hearings of Watergate came around. They held congressional hearings that were aired on TV. And lo and behold, people started to notice, and they were angry because they were like, wait, this man is this corrupt? This corrupt? Public opinion of impeachment soared through the roof. And then, when it got to the House of Representatives, only 4 members of the House didn't want to impeach Nixon. And then when it got to the Senate, a lot of Republicans in the Senate were making it known that they were going to impeach Nixon. So Nixon inevitably decided that he would rather resign than allow himself to be impeached. Yeah, that's interesting. He would rather go down in history as the only president that resigned from his own quote-unquote free will than to actually just be impeached the normal, easy way. Inevitably, I guess it's kind of interesting because with that, Nixon was rather interesting political figure either way for all of his, anti-Semitism. But anyways, like, that was how the Nixon impeachment went. And due to the fact that impeachment was seen as so prominent and so interesting, that inevitably, when it came down to Bill Clinton, impeachment was seen as a very, quote-unquote, valuable tool. It would easily work, right? Well, that's the thing. Now, here's the thing. We gotta get this out of the way first. He wasn't impeached because he had sex with Monica Lewinsky. He was impeached for perjury and obstruction of justice. He was pretty much because he tried to hide the fact that he had sex with this woman. He, quote, did not have sexual relations with that woman. But, obviously, he did. So, like, nobody really cared that he had sex with Monica Lewinsky. People cared that he lied about it. Or at least, that's what the Republican Party thought. You see, the mainstream media and the way the public perceived it was that the Republican Party was trying to impeach a man for having sex with a woman. That's how they saw it. And people were like, really? That's it? And as such, public opinion never really seemed to take off on the Clinton impeachment. In fact, Clinton's public image was actually kind of going up due to the impeachment. Because he was seen as like the cool president. Yeah, he had women blowing him in the Oval Office. That's so cool. So much so that when they charged him for two things, like they charged him for like the obstruction of justice and perjury, Democrats just voted no. But on the trial, many Republicans just had to flip on the aisle because, again, nobody really seemed to care. And that kind of just, that's how it happened. And the following election, Democrats did really well. So yeah, now that we have all that out of the way, now let's talk about the main thing about it. Should we impeach? Well, let's again go over some of the basic info, like how far will it go? What'll happen if he does not go far enough, or what happens if it does go far enough? First, what do we know for sure? We know for sure that 224 House members want to impeach. That includes 223 Democrats and just Amash. Those are the people who want to impeach. Now, that is at least half of the House of Representatives. So, I don't think it'll have issue going that far. But the thing is, we of course know what's going to happen when it goes to the Senate. Republicans are just going to be like, nope. And then just not go through with it. Even if enough Republicans do support the idea of impeachment, it's just going to be put on the bench by Mitch McConnell. Inevitably, impeachment is going to fail. Or will it? Okay, well, I mean, it will, but here's the thing. Many media figures were trying to, oh, this is interesting. We got a scoop from Jeff Flake. Jeff Flake told us that if the impeachment inquiry were a private ballot, 30 Republicans would vote for it. Yeah, but here's the thing. It's not. It's not a secret ballot. It's public. It's a public record. People will know who votes for it. And that's the thing. Republicans don't have a spine. Ergo, they're not going to make a big political move like impeachment because they're spineless. If they had gonads, they could actually accomplish anything. But nah, they're just not. Now, I bring all that up because, just to give shit to the Republicans, I think I have some ideas on who privately would want to impeach. You know, I guarantee you it's the firebrand Trump opposers like Mitt Romney and Ben Sasse. It's stupid. Like, I don't even get this whole stupid idea of like, oh, this whole big thing of like, these are the people who are opposing Trump the most. No, they're not. These guys are like people who vote with Trump like more than half of the time. There's no Republican that I think votes for Trump less amount of anything. They all vote with Trump pretty much on all the policy. They're not gonna impeach the dude for any legitimate political reasons. They're going to impeach him for the sake of, you know, we hate his naughty words. That's the whole stupid thing about the anti-Trump Republican. They don't want the populism that Trump was claiming that he was supporting. And they don't like a brash Republican. They don't want brash. They don't want someone who might actually do anything slightly different. What they want is, hey, we want someone who will suck the dick of large corporations and also hate gays. Can you do that? If you can, congratulations, you're a Republican. But anyways, that's that. But what if it does hypothetically make it through both the House and the Senate, and Trump is officially removed from office? Yeah, well, what happens next? There's Mike Pence. And I might say, well, I mean, wouldn't Mike Pence be acquitted for any of this stuff too? I mean, no, especially considering, what are they trying to acquit him on? They're trying to get Trump on a private conversation he had with the Ukrainian president. I don't even know if Pence was in the room. Is Pence ever in the same room with Trump? Or do they just Photoshop him inside of, like, pictures of Trump? Here's the real twist. Pence has been dead for 1,000,000 years, and this is actually the ghost, and they're just trying to make him think like Mike Pence is real. Trump is like, wait, I thought Mike Pence died in that car crash 30 years ago. And like, no, see, here's a picture of you and him at the circus. Oh, yeah, I remember that. During, like, the 2018 midterms, there was this stupid theory that Lawrence Lessig, a guy I actually really respect, wrote, and he said, here's the strategy. 1, we impeach Donald Trump because of Russia. 2, we get Pence too. 3, Paul Ryan will have to choose Hillary Clinton to be his running mate. 3, Paul Ryan will resign in shame. 4, President Hillary Clinton. It's like, wait, how'd you get from here to here? This is not straightforward thinking. When would Paul Ryan ever say, you know who should be my vice presidential nominee?
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, Larry, that makes perfect sense. Like, I mean, like, seriously, dude, you should really stick to campaign finance. Or running presidential campaigns that don't go anywhere. Oh! But anyways, so yeah, like, as we know, that would be the scenario. We'd get Mike Pence. Now, here's the thing, like, that theory I mentioned before, it's still something that people are trying to do, because they want what Trump is doing to take down Pence, so that Nancy Pelosi will be president. But here's the thing, that's not going to happen. They're focusing the impeachment inquiry on, they're focusing the impeachment inquiry on Ukraine, on this Ukraine thing. And, like, as we could see, it's not working. That's not how it works. It's not going to get Pence. So you're going to get Pence, who is a more mainstream Republican, who the Republican Party will be openly singing the praises to. So, like, Republicans, they at least pull this little, try and do this tap dance of like, oh, we hate Donald Trump. We need to restore the real Republican democracy. But then always do everything for Trump's bidding. But this time, Mike Pence, he's just gonna do what the Republican Party wants. You want to give him money so that he can ban gay people and crucify Pete Buttigieg? No problem. Like, that's what's gonna happen if you try to impeach Trump you're gonna get Pence. And Pence is worse, because Pence is the mainstream Republican. Like, you think Pence is gonna make any of the situations better? You think he's gonna look in his deep Christian heart and be like, you know what, these migrant kids, we should let them out of the cages? No, he's gonna be like, put more in there. Like, he's not gonna do anything different. You're just gonna put one candidate in place of a different one. Although the thing is, it could be beneficial if you try to pick like Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg to be the candidate Democratic Party, if you cheat the election to have them win and have him go against Mike Pence, they'd probably have a better chance than Donald Trump. Like, I mean, if Elizabeth Warren went against Mike Pence, she'd have an immensely better chance than if she went against Donald Trump. Those are those 2 points. There's one point about the fact that it's not really that popular. But the thing is, I've looked at the polling, and they really only check 1,000 people. Like, the highest they have is 1,640 people, and it was kind of split, 43-43 with 13 undecided. But, like, those poll numbers were kind of similar to the Nixon ones, but then after they heard about this stuff, then it went up. So that wouldn't necessarily be a good argument. Now, another thing is, many people say we shouldn't impeach because it's going to hurt our chances in 2020, because if we impeach Trump, I say we, because I say we in a sense, the royal we, even though I'm not a Democrat, just saying we makes it better. They're saying, like, if we impeach, we're going to hurt our chances because Trump is just going to waltz out of there after the Senate just dismisses the impeachment, and they're just going to be like, haha, see, I didn't get impeached because nothing is there. And then that'll boost his popularity and will lead to the Republicans retaking the House and probably getting a bigger margin in the Senate. Which it does seem to be the case. When you look at the previous impeachments, the opposing party, the party of the person being impeached, did do well when impeachment came around. So is it inevitably good to try and get this one guy out of power when you're going to put guys who have similar beliefs to him in the same power position? But, I mean, not in the same exact one, but they're going to have the same equal amount of power. Arguably more, because they're in the legislative branch that can actually make laws rather than enforce them. Now, I know you might be watching all this, and you might be like, yeah, I know all these arguments about impeachment, but here's the thing. What do you think, E Pluribus Unum? What do you want to do? Do you think we should impeach him, or do you think we shouldn't? Especially considering it's breaking apart the left. We're seeing some leftists openly say, yeah, we need to impeach the motherfucker. And some people say, no, we shouldn't impeach him. Now again, what do I think? Well, given the current year and the current thing that the Democratic Party is pushing to impeach him on, I will have to disappoint half of you by saying, no, I do not believe we should move forward with impeachment. Now, I know half of you are going to get really mad at this, because you're like, oh, this is an inept, evil president, and why are you saying you're a leftist if you do not believe we should impeach this evil conservative president? How dare you? Let me explain. First, you're going to get Mike Pence. Remember, you're not just replacing a right-wing businessman who hates Mexicans with someone who actually is a good person in their ideology. You're replacing him with someone who I argue is worse because he's openly anti-LGBT and pretty much takes all the Donald Trump philosophies and mixes it with your average Republicanism. Pretty much the revival of the Bush years. You're not really going to replace him with someone good if you had the ability to do it. And that's another thing. You don't have the ability to do it. If you had both chambers, that could be workable, but you don't. You have one chamber, and that's the chamber that can't do anything. Like, and I know I am of the philosophy that you should at least move forward with voting on bills and let it die in certain things, because it shows that it points the fingers at the people who are holding this bill in contempt. But it's not exactly the same thing with the impeachment. It could inevitably work in a similar situation, because you would point the finger at Mitch McConnell and say, this is the guy who's not impeaching this president. This criminal remains in office because of this other criminal. That's how people might see it. But here's the thing. This Ukrainian thing, is this really an impeachable offense? Like, he didn't even really seem to be 100% serious in a lot of it. He seemed more just, hey, Ukrainians, give me that info on Biden, JK. And I mean, again, if you have actual information from this that shows corruption for another candidate, I mean, what? Like, it's like the Hillary Clinton thing. The DNC rigged the primary on Bernie Sanders, and Julian Assange openly revealed that was the case. Should we be mad just because he might have achieved it in some bad way? No. If it was achieved in a bad way, it doesn't matter what the information, how it was achieved. We still received information that this bad thing is happening. I'll use that point and this upcoming point to tie into another point. The timing. It's 2019. The election is literally like a couple months away. You really want to put all your eggs in this basket now? Now, I get the whole idea that the Democrats were trying to push this whole Russiagate thing so that they could do it earlier. But here's the thing. Russiagate didn't stick, and I highly doubt Ukrainegate is probably going to stick either. Because, literally, again, like, if there was an actual bigger impeachable offense that came across from it, then maybe that'd be one thing. But this is something Hillary Clinton did. And these are crimes that are being exposed about Joe Biden. Why are they not being punished? Why would Trump be the one punished because he's the guy who's just pointing the finger at this bad thing? I mean, granted, he's done bad things too, but yeah, he's pointing finger at a bad thing. Why isn't the person who's being pointed at being punished when the guy pointing the finger is going to be punished? And those 2 points actually combine into a big thing that nobody seems to be talking about. I mean, granted, some people talking about it, but not a lot of people. We're possibly impeaching Trump for this. We tried to impeach Bill Clinton because he got blown. We're impeaching presidents over this when George W. Bush committed literal war crimes with an unconstitutional war on terror, and he gets off scot-free? Granted, one congressman actually had guts to try and impeach him, Dennis Kucinich. Dennis Kucinich was trying to do this for a while. He was trying to do it as early as 2004, I believe. He had plenty of time to impeach the dude. He waited to see if the 2004 election would work out, and then he brought up the literal war crimes he was committing, and then Dennis was like, dude, we gotta impeach the dude. And Dick, don't think I'm forgetting you. I'll get to you in a second. But every time he tried to introduce the ability to try and impeach him, it didn't work. Because Nancy Pelosi would pull his collar and be like, no, Dennis, no, we can't do that. Why not? This guy's committing literal war crimes. Literal war crimes. And you're not going to impeach him? And that's the thing. If Trump was being impeached for the Yemen genocide, I'd be all for the impeachment. Like, being in bed with Saudi Arabia? Talking about allegiance with a foreign power. Do it with Saudi Arabia or Israel. But Democrats are not going to do that because they're also in bed with them. That's the thing. If you tried to impeach him for legitimate reasons, I'd be all for it. But the current situation we have, plus the timing, there's no time for impeachment, really. The best strategy the Democrats have, if they want to do it, is to nominate someone who is strong enough to beat Donald Trump and move forward with the populist left platform that would work, because it does work. Bernie Sanders would be the inevitable candidate that could effectively, quote-unquote, impeach Donald Trump by getting him out of office. That's the only situation where the Democrats would really win. Otherwise, you're going to get 4 more years. So you got to put all your effort into that and getting a progressive Democratic majority in the House and in the Senate. And that's how you win. That's how the Democrats would win. But they're not going to do that because the Democrats, they're well known for losing. They're the only party that went from possibly losing 1 seat in 2018 to losing literally 4. Yeah. They're not that good at winning. That's all I really have to say on impeachment, I guess. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Quora, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report.